Hello and welcome to another Sci-Fi. Me, GamerWolfSix of Khemia. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it free on itch.io. But if you want to support people that make this game, you want a Patreon. Though, as far as I know, there isn't early access as of yet. So, on the last side play, we talked with Brunus, who was, talking about his use of pap and drugs and stuff like that. And, we had a nice little chit chat. He's he's a nice guy. And then we went to meditate, and then I guess we lost consciousness because, we talked to Mira in the spooky zone, but then also there's like the evil rustling of leaves voice or something like that too. I don't know. They changed a little bit of it in this game, which is why I redid it. And now there's another voice, and I bit my tongue again. I don't know why. Did my tooth move or something? Whatever. Reset face. And begin. There we go. Scipio says this to Neferu. Netek hotep ak. Tell him to stop sulking like a spoiled prince and communicate with you. This is important. He'll understand. I feel my body once more, and I'm lying on something soft. I don't know. He said he was going to meditate, and then he looked at me, all scared, like his eyes had just rolled in the back of his head. Before his eyes rolled in the back of his head. I can't move, though, my body feeling locked in place. Though my fingers and ears start to regain some movement. Did you give him something? No. Skip? Yeah, I think in the previous version, we try a bit of his pap, and then, yeah. But then we also have flashbacks to when we were a kid. My paws begin to shift. Hey, look, he's moving. I feel a touch on my shoulder, gentle and tentative. Did you blow vapor in his direction? He's wolf and has no experience with this drug. He could be very sensitive to it. If that's all it takes to get him high, then why hasn't he ever freaked out when he was sitting next to me? I'm sorry to tell you something you already know, but Pap smells terrible. He turns his nose away whenever you get close. As I begin to come back to what I believe is reality, they continue to go back and forth, and I imagine their voices in a sparring match. It reminds me of that one time Neferu managed to convince the Wolverine to spar. Despite his build and size, Brunus isn't much of a fighter. The match barely lasted more than a minute before Brunus was on his knees and, retching so loud, he sounded like a giant squawking bird. Even though I felt bad for him at the time, I chuckled surprising myself. They stop arguing. Then, all at once, the paralysis releases me, and I shift slowly. I'm confused for a moment. Then, I sit up quickly. I realize the scene I'm making right now, but I don't even know what happened. All I can do is say the only thing that might confirm I'm not going insane, but I forget it. Netek Haum Hotep Ah. The way they stare at me makes my ears fold back for a moment, embarrassed about my clumsy, heavy accent despite the situation, knowing my words are heard directly by both of them, unfiltered by the linguists. But I'm more worried that if it was only a dream, I'd probably spoken some fox Khemian gibberish pulled from my intermediate knowledge of the language. I almost want to make an excuse that takes years to learn Khemian, especially for wolves. Neferu's reaction says otherwise, though, but I'm not sure if it's a preferable one. What did you say? I stare back at him, feeling out of body, as if I've suddenly been dropped from a distant moon. Clearly it meant something, possibly something serious, or even something bad. I don't know. I was meditating, and got lost and I don't know. I covered my face, finally overwhelmed and not knowing what to do. What the hell is happening to me? It's quiet, but I hear a murmur to them murmur to each other before followed by movement, and then I look up, or when I look up, Brunus is gone. The bed shifts with added weight as Neferu sits next to me. He's quiet, as if waiting for me to say more, to explain what I had just said. I'm sorry, I don't know what it means. I know the word peace, and maybe welcome, but there's a lack of resources to learn Khemia on Adastra, and it's especially hard for Adastrans because of the differences. I realize I'm over-explaining and trail off, deciding to wait for Neferu to break the silence. It sounded fine, Skip. That's the first time I've heard a wolf speak a full sentence of Khemia, actually. But I'm much more interested in what prompted you to say it. Is it a bad thing to say? I try to keep my paws from gripping my thoughts too tightly, but Neferu shakes his head. It means, welcome, and be at ease, brother. As if to pay me in kind, he says it in Adastran. Now, I hear Neferu's voice unfiltered, but his accent is pleasant, almost sing-song in its quality, and I know it sounds better than my own bubbling accent strumming over Khemia. Bumbling, yeah. I can tell he's fluent from just the sentence. Neferu waves a paw, as if brushing something aside. Roughly, anyway. It can be worded in many ways, but I'm wondering where he'd heard it, or why he said it. I looked down at the steel metal floor of the ship, only now able to absorb what I'd seen, and while I had been meditating, though meditation had never done anything like that to me before. As I think on it, I don't want to tell him the majority of what I saw and heard, but I can at least tell him about the third and final voice. I heard a voice while meditating. A female jackal, I think. Neferu is clearly trying to keep his reaction muted, but he can't fully hide his surprise. I feel a bit uneasy again. Should I be wary of it? I didn't see anyone. Did the voice say anything else? My ears dug down again. It mentioned that, you should communicate with me and not sulk like a spoiled prince or something. Neferu makes a soft huffing sound of surprise, almost like a laugh. It really is her, then. Who? My youngest sister, Aya. Really? Why? Why would she contact me? How is she even able to make contact? She's on Khemia, right? I studied the royal family. There was a noticeable lack of information on the youngest four siblings, aside from her being some sort of religious scholar who performed traditional Khemian rituals for the family. She's on Khemia, yes. But how she's contacting you, or why, I'm not sure. She's certainly never contacted me like that in the past 3 years. Like that? Do they have, like... I know it's, like, kind of weird. It's, like, they probably have interstellar communication, but maybe, I think. But it would be kind of interesting. It's, like, they can just do mind communication or something. There's a touch of bitterness in his voice, likely covering up the hurt he feels if it's true that Aya is the only other member of his family that Neferu's close to. But how is it even possible for her to do that? She said you'd understand. Well, her duties involve things that are quite abstract and beyond my own understanding. If she scolded me and said I should communicate with you, she might have an interest in you specifically, for whatever reason. It's quiet for a few seconds. But how does she even know me? This is making me feel like I'm still dreaming, Neferu. You don't even seem that surprised that she's able to do this. I know I'm not telling he's not telling me everything he knows. Neferu opens his mouth, and then closes it, as if struggling to find the right words. Don't worry too much about it. She can be hard to understand, and sometimes she gets excited over things that others would find insignificant. This doesn't feel like communication to me. Neferu, you're emotionally close to her, right? Yes. Probably because the two of us didn't exactly fit in with the family, though she's doing a much better job out of it than I am. So she must have told you at some point what she's capable of what her role is. What her role is? Neferu, she's reaching across light years to speak with me. I'm a bit concerned about it. Neferu sighs deeply. The truth is that I am under parental oath not to discuss it. I might not even be allowed to say it, but I'll wait for the monitor to smite me if that's the case. I know it all sounds very strange and even frightening, so I didn't want to add to your worries. Keep in mind that she, like I, can be a bit dramatic at times. I see. I don't see. I still have many, many questions about the other voices she seems to be fighting against, but maybe I can talk to Aya herself about it, if I'm even allowed to do so. I can say that if she has the ability to astral project to contact other sapients, and that is new information to me. However, it's not out of the realm of possibility considering what she does. If that were the case, I would have expected her to have given me advice over the past 3 years. Again, I might get in trouble for even saying this much. I think. I apologize in advance for even suggesting this, but you have every reason to believe that she's currently alive, right? Of course. Why wouldn't she be? Now, Neferu is the one looking nervous. I fully decide that I won't bring up Mira, who is very much dead. Sorry, just trying to figure out how this is happening. I've heard claims of unamalgamated spirits doing that. Well, if that were somehow the case, I would be a bit upset that she appeared to you only to tell me to stop feeling sorry for myself. Not entirely bad advice, though. However, she would be amalgamated, no doubt. I can still see that I've worried Neferu, so I decided to move the conversation along by asking about what she meant. That makes sense. Maybe I can meet her when you arrive, assuming it really was her. Of course, I'll introduce you. Thank you, Neferu. So, if you're not allowed to discuss her duties, what do you think she meant when she said to communicate with me? Judging by what you told me, I think she wants me to help you, instead of acting as I did when you came out of the laboratory. I'd almost forgotten about that. I suddenly feel better despite the terrifying ordeal I had experienced during my meditation. Neferu's sister encouraged me to communicate will be very helpful to me, as she seems to have a good deal of influence, and not just over her brother. Well, I did act in a rude way myself. I could tell what I said was hurtful to you. I was just embarrassed about seeing in a moment of weakness. No need not to apologize. I was being nosy, and he reacted in an understandable way. If you'll accept my excuse, my overreaction is rooted in past experiences. Oh, how so? Once I knew an Amorphan by the name of Alexos. The cat. That's what they're called? Huh. Oh, you knew him personally? Alexos, the sibling pet and rumored lover of Cassius, the former false emperor and also Amycus' brother. Alexios was an agent of Amorpha, sent to Adastra to sow chaos in the very fabric of our society. a mission that was ultimately successful. One could say that he is the main reason for the riots occurring. Well, I knew him, but I doubt anyone knew him personally, aside from maybe Cassius. Anyway, despite nearly toppling Adastra, he was never a very good spy, but he was underestimated. And he struck Cassius' fancy. It's easier to be a spy when you have direct connection to the very heart of power. Neferu looks at me candidly, in case I missed it. But I didn't. I already know he sees right through me, but I also think I sometimes see right through him. In all honesty, though, I wasn't thinking about the game or the both of us are playing. I should be calculating the best way to establish a relationship that Neferu would feel reliant upon, even if it's detrimental to Khemia. Vetrius told me earlier that this is an especially promising exploit, considering Neferu's relationship with his family is poor, to put it lightly. That's my end goal, despite the slim odds of it going that far, or even being needed. His brother and younger sister are both in positions of much higher power and influence, and after learning more about his younger sister and her secretive directives, she might be as well. But for the first time, for right now at least, I'm following my emotions where they take me. The dutiful part of me, the parts I thought was all in me, is scolding myself. But for some reason, after the experience I just had, it doesn't feel like the most pressing issue. It's a bit alarming, but I calm myself by reasoning that this is simply the best way to approach Neferu, that my beliefs and goals have not changed. One strange experience during this meditation, an experience I'm not even sure is real, should not be able to cause that. Another part of me, one that feels foreign, knows that's real, but that won't help with staying calm. I see. Well, whenever he found himself cornered, he'd often resort to a very strange state of mind. Basically, he would exhibit the expression and emotion of a rock, a classic diplomatic defensive maneuver he used to get out of situations he couldn't. Though... Oops, sorry, that's my phone being like, hey, you have a thing to do in 30 minutes. Sorry. Although, he was never subtle about it. He's possibly the most selfish, amoral political official I've ever had the displeasure of dealing with. To be clear, I knew his motives were to serve Amorpha, which can be argued to be the most anti-Adastran sibling world. But what I didn't expect was a sniveling coward willing to destroy the foundation of an entire sibling civilization and cause a loss of life in the thousands. I nod, though having not known the cat, I feel a bit detached. Amorpha had always loathed Adastra, as I see us to be the biggest threat to the stability of the Galaxias, and if I remember, they really were also anti-parents. That, along with having parents who shared the same galaxy before resulting in the closeness for cultures that only emphasize differences. I don't understand what that means. And, with all due respect to Amicus, I had always viewed the situation to be the fault of the Imperial family for allowing an Amorphan to get so close in the first place. Anyway, when you came out of that lavatory, the look you gave me was strikingly familiar, but I know that's not you, Scipio. You're a good, honest person, and I know you would never do such a thing if the intention is simply chaos and destruction. And despite our differences in culture and language, and despite the history between our people, you are my friend, and I trust you. I am a smile, despite myself. This is Neferu communicating. Perhaps he's an outlier amongst the supposedly blunt Khemians, but I'm able to understand what he's saying. I know that you're here to gather intelligence, to better Adastra's position in the Alliance, and to use me as a tool, just as Alexo used Cassius. I'm lonely, and I need someone that I can call a friend, a true friend, and in this relationship, I know that you have nothing to lose, while I could lose everything. But I also know that you are full of compassion, and that you'd never do what he did. So, while I know you can't be trusted, I can trust you. The real question is if he's making the right choice. I look Neferu in the eye, in what I hope is a meaningful way, so that he might know that I understand. And I trust you. I simply want the galaxy to achieve harmony, and it sounds pup-like, but all I want is less hardship and anguish for sapients and all other living beings, or things. I feel the fur on the nape of my neck bristle just slightly, feeling sick, just being in my skin. I would watch the Clay District burn for the sheer pleasure of it. Why feel anything but joy in the destruction of uneducated, cruel sapiens who just act like dumb beasts, lesser than livestock? Thank you, Skip. Truly. I have a feeling that this experience will change your life, and your perspective on life itself. Adastra did that for me, both bad and good, but I wouldn't take it back, so just keep an open mind, and I'll always be available if you need help. Thank you, Neferu, truly. And please, if I offend again, just talk to me. We are friends, wolven friends, after all, and that means you can be very blunt. Sounds like a plan. Now, we should get some sleep, as Sanaa threw off our schedules when you arrive in about 6 hours. Bernice is actually in my room, so I can sleep on his bed, if you don't mind. I don't mind, and we both end up sleeping in my bed. Mercifully, I'm left alone by the voices. That is, until I hear Ahem. Exiting stretch drive in 10 minutes. Prepare for a security check and royal escort. To be continued. Okay, hyena. Just in time for me to make a cup of tea before my next meeting. Because I'm a CEO of a company, haha. Fooled you. No, I'm not. Though, I would say that would be stressful, but then it's like, oh yeah, they don't... Even if you fail, got parachutes of gold. But anyways, not about that stuff. Yeah, it was interesting. Like, they did do... Like, a lot of things seem the same, which is nice. Because, like, I don't know. It would be kind of weird, stuff like that. But the difference is that I remember is, like, there wasn't that weird skull voice, as far as I remember. The main character... Let's see. Did try the pep away, and that's what sent him into that little, other state where he meets Mira. And he also has a thing where, you know, he's a little pup falling from a tree and he's crying for his mother and stuff like that. And it's just that kind of thing. Was there anything else? Not that I can think of. So, that is going to be the end of this side play. Hyena did this in what, 2 sittings-ish? Kinda, maybe. So, yeah, if you want to play this game, it's available free on itch.io, but if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the news version earlier, well, you can't do that second part. Sorry, I pressed the button in my mind. Free on itch.io, but if you want to support them, they have a Patreon where you can do that stuff. And yeah. common and all that stuff. Sorry, my brain's a little bit foggy right now. And until next time, another side play. By me, GamerWolfSix of some other game. Who knows what it could be? It could be anything. It could be your mom. So thanks and see ya.